Your Excellency. I'm very happy to have you here.
Thank you.
In one of the most promoted and the technology place in Tajikistan, which is also supported by TICA in Tajikistan.
Thank you.
And then my name is Mavzuna Nurkhanova, and I'm Adolescent Development Officer at UNICEF.
Very nice meeting you. Good morning.
Good morning. And we would like to have a short discussion with you on the importance of the digital education, inclusion, STEM for girls, and the contribution that Turkey have been doing so far during the long years
Yes.
in Tajikistan. A couple of the questions
Sure.
that would shed a light on those contributions that you have done.
Yeah.
So would you please share your perspective on importance of the digital education and gender inclusion?
Yes, of course. You don't need me to say that it's very important. First of all, I think we should start with saying that, unfortunately, we're living in a world very man-dominated.
Yeah.
It has been so
True.
throughout the history. When you look at the famous figures throughout the history, the politicians, the leaders, and the philosophers, all important people, they're all men, which is not something, of course, we desired, we wanted to be, but for various reasons, the religious, the tribal, the community reasons, that was the case. And I'm really glad to see that it's changing. And gender equality, the women and girls empowerment are frequently mentioned and trending the concepts in recent years. And of course, I'm happy to see that this is also the case in Tajikistan, in my own country. Well, the girls and boys, the adolescent people, our daughters, our sons, those are the pillars of our future, the best investment that we can make in our future. So we should do our best, especially in the education, not only STEM education, but also all sorts of education. Starting from the family, we should teach morality, ethics, respect. These are very important values, and
Absolutely.
Unfortunately,
Absolutely.
recent years, those are, I believe that the areas we see some damages, and various reasons for that, of course. The modern life, forcing the women to be part of the workforce,
Yeah.
not all the time voluntarily, but sometimes forcefully. So many factors that happening, affecting the level of education that we provide to our children in a family. So digital education, STEM education, when I look at the practices in my country, for quite a long time, we are not only establishing institutions in our country on these areas, but also globally in different countries. Yeah. Today, for example, we have more than 30 schools in Afghanistan under these very difficult circumstances. Turkish Marif Foundation operating in that country for many years. Mm-hmm. And you know, it's not easy, especially the situation in the country when it comes to girls' education, still mm-hmm. operating, providing the best of the education technology and the modern curricula to the people. And it's just one example. In other difficult parts of the world, the institutions from my country are operating, including in Tajikistan. So it's not the first area of expertise that I can give you some groundbreaking and fundamental headlines or something, but as a father, of course, I feel it in my own family. Mm-hmm. And when I look at my children, I always feel that those are the best investments that I can make. The future Absolutely. Of my family, my community, my country. So that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah.
This is great. This is great. And you have touched upon already about the Turkey's approach in other countries. But I would like you to a bit elaborate on the Turkish approach in the gender equality, and especially in the education and technology.
Yeah.
Would you mind to share some ideas?
Sure.
What were these approaches and how successful they were?
Yeah. Well, That was one of the first and fundamental principles when our republic was founded in 1923.
Yeah.
We had, fortunately, a very visionary, far-sighted, the leader and first president, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. That is why my country was one of the first, and even before many Western countries granted women the right to vote and run for an office in early 1930s, long before France and Italy,
Quite
and
early.
Switzerland, the other countries. So it is something very fundamental in our country. During these early years, the leadership they realized that the number of educated, not only women, the number of educated people in the country, not enough. So that's why they started a very ambitious education program, sent so many young, bright people to the best universities around the world, and have them back to establish the basic institutions in our country. Also, Tajikistan experienced this, the process.
Yes.
You're also a young republic, just 33 years old, 34 years old. So those are very the young the time frames in the lives of the countries and nations. So starting from that time, we're investing in our education. There are, of course, famous names in my country: the first engineer, first doctor, first computer scientist. So many firsts that are still being remembered and cherished, and iconic names, their names given to streets and squares and institutions and buildings in our country. So we're proud to see that the number of the women involving in technology in our country is rising. The key points, key institutions are being now run by the women. But of course, it's never enough. Even if we are so proud of the achievements we made, but when you look at the numbers and statistics not always support our joy and our pride. So it always reminds us that we should do more. We should provide the fair the playground for both men and women and support their activities. Of course, there are some handicaps for the women always. They have multiple roles, not just the head of an institution or a CEO or with the big title. They're always also the mothers and the fundamental figure in our families. And sometimes this is giving them the handicaps when you look at the pay gap between men and women. When women leave for maternal leaves, they are lagging behind. So this is affecting their career.
Yes.
So that is why they should be
society.
supported more. So that is why our government introduced some benefits and incentives and motivation just recently to support the women in workforce, to see more women in workforce. So those are the basic things that I can share with you.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've observed these things and had a couple of the talks with the colleagues in Turkey country office for UNICEF. And it was really interesting to see that majority of the colleagues are female, and they are cherished and they are given the equal voices and participation.
In UNICEF office?
In UNICEF office.
In where?
In Ankara.
In Ankara, okay.
Great.
So happy to
Ankara.
hear that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and then whatever I've observed in the country, even outside in the cities, in the streets, and I've seen many good positive trends towards the gender equality.
Yes.
And it's really, really like pleasant to see, and for an eye, or even to hear the things that are going on there.
Well, it's a big challenge. I just saw a statistic, whether it's reliable or not, but it's very stunning. I mean, only 14 countries in the world provided full equality in all fields to men and women. Just 14. I mean, probably their spectrum is very large because the 14 countries
out of
too
more
little.
than
I mean,
200, it's quite.
It reminds us that we should have a very long way to go.
It is, but the importance is when you just step towards that.
Yeah.
And
it's not just because pay gap. There are still countries where women are not having the same equal rights in law when it comes to inheritance, when it comes to property ownership. They're the basic things.
True, absolutely, yes. By the way, in Turkey, it's quite well arranged and organized. I've heard.
We have, of course, our own challenges. We're trying to do our best. We have a government really believe in this the concept of gender equality, doing their best. But again, everywhere in my country, in other countries, here in Tajikistan, we have a really long way to go.
When we talk about the girls and gender equality in technologies, the first thing that it comes to our minds is the STEM. Involving girls into STEM, because through years it has been recognized as the more male, I would say, owned area and field. Nowadays, with the collaboration and partnership that have been established with Turkey and then Republic of Tajikistan, Turkey have been investing also in the development of ICT, digital skill for girls, through TICA. Could you please tell us about those initiatives that's been implemented here, and what were the impact? Have you observed any impact on that?
Well, I wish TICA representatives were here to present their projects, but I know that TICA is a famous organization worldwide, and we're so proud of the work done by TICA in different parts of the world, sometimes under difficult circumstances. This very place also received a contribution from TICA. I know that they are investing in education in this country. They want to do more, and they have that desire, and they have that the budget. And sometimes the visiting the places where TICA is making contribution, we're going there for openings, for visits, and when you ask about the impact, and when I look at the eyes of the people there, you can see very clearly the impact, because they're providing some very basic and fundamental services to the communities, not just about the education, but health and many other sectors, not only in Central Asia, Tajikistan also, and of course, the different parts of Africa. I know that they're one of priorities of TICA is investing in the girls' education here and everywhere. That is agencies' number one priorities. Taking an example and drawing the lessons we had in our own the history. I'm so proud, again, I'm the father of a daughter. I, of course, wish always the best for my daughter, and not for my daughter, for other girls, daughters of other families, of course. Seeing institutions and agencies like TICA focusing on these areas is always giving me special pride to see that we're investing in the right places. So I'm sure that if it is scheduled, maybe you should also take a TICA representative here. He can provide you some details about the specific projects that I'm following their projects in Tajikistan and sometimes joining them. And I believe that in the coming days, they are also about to initiate some new projects, especially in of course, not for the women's and girls' education. Also, they are focusing on the handicapped people, which deserve special attention as well. One signature project they started with the high school here, where the handicapped kids are taking education. They establish a shoemaking the center there. So the idea is now, from now on, is to establish a connection between the training centers and education and with the professionals, so that the people who receive training and education can see a professional career after that, so to be much more useful. So I can share these with you. If there is any other issue you can you want me to elaborate? Yes.
I absolutely agree with you about the impact that you have said. It's the sparkle in the eyes after the trainings, after the participation in certain events and etc. As you have said, the data is just a dry thing that we can put into some reports and etc. But the real life impact can be seen only emotionally on the faces, in the eyes of those participants or the girls who have gone through a certain level of the capacity building or etc.
Well, of course, we're so glad and happy to have organizations like UNICEF and the other UN organizations operating under very difficult conditions in different parts of the world. Sometimes they have to work in conflict zones. We see that what's going on in the Middle East. I think the last year was the year the UN agencies lost highest number of the people working for them, volunteers and the UN staff. So I see that the work and impact UNICEF is making here in Tajikistan, very dedicated staff. They have a very good leader here. So I'm so proud to have those agencies working with us, around us, supporting your work, sometimes initiating the processes so that we can contribute and join. So thank you to UNICEF and the UN.
Appreciate that. Ambassador Acar, just you've said that you're also a father of a girl, right?
Yeah.
And you might have observed that the supporting girls in day-to-day life is very crucial and important.
Absolutely.
And it's impactful.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you are doing this.
Yes.
But when it goes to the trainings and outside events or the capacity building activities or whatever, especially when it's within a project, girls usually need some mentorship and role models to be inspired by.
Yes. And
be empowered by, so that they get empowered for the new changes and become the active participants and meaningfully bring some good changes in their society, in their lives first, in their society and family. So would you tell us if there are any mentorship or role model programs that Turkey have been supporting in Tajikistan? And are there any plans in enhancing this or widening that? Or what is your vision in that?
Well, absolutely, you're absolutely right. Not just girls, everyone, the young, the boys and girls, they need mentors to follow, to take lessons from the experiences, from their careers. Of course, my daughter has her mentors starting from the world famous, the pop singers, then the sport athletes. My daughter loves volleyball and playing volleyball.
Wow.
So I believe that sports is an area that we should promote and encourage young girls, especially more. That is why I'm hoping to see more and more athletic teams at the school level. This is very important. I believe that this is an area that we are feeling to be supported here in Tajikistan as well, establishing the athletic club so that the young girls can join and play. We are ready to invest and support any the program that will help the young population in Tajikistan. It's a very large young population here. So you ask about the mentorship programs. So I know that we're working with the Tajik agencies. This is Tajikistan, and of course we're expecting the Tajik institutions to take the lead, to identify the areas where they need support, where they need contribution from the countries like myself and also international organizations. I'm so proud to see that development partners in this country, the World Bank, the EU, the other institutions are so professional and so dedicated and so willing to do things that will have real impact. So I know they're my friends. We're coming together, sometimes under the official occasions, sometimes friendly environments. We always talk about these issues. And the one thing they talk about is how can we do more and how can we contribute more? Because people like myself, the diplomats, the other the people from international organizations, I mean, we're traveling around the world, moving one country to another, and the places where we live become home to us. For 4 years, 5 years, whatever. The people become friends to us. So when we are in a country, we really want to do our best to help, to contribute, because sometimes we see that some of the things happening in that country happened in our country a few years ago. So depending on how developed the country. So sometimes we feel that we were there. So we have some examples we can help. So that professionalism in this country, that dedication I see from the development partners is really encouraging. I'm so happy to see that. But that doesn't change the fact that this is your country, this is Tajikistan. So you should show us the way where you feel that you need more support. If there's a need to initiate and develop more mentorship programs, I can say that from our own part, the TIKA and the Turkish government, our embassy, we're ready to contribute in all possible way, financially, and expertise, and know-how, the bringing together the people from our country, from your country. So we're ready to do that.
Thank you so much for your readiness to support this country,
Yeah.
Especially knowing that there are so many opportunities. And it's true that if we are in our own home, not identified with the needs, what has to be done in order to grow, absolutely the external people will not be able to help us to identify even those things, because the family who is living in that house is the those who can tell you what they need.
Absolutely.
And this is true.
Yeah, we're here to help, we're here to partner, we're here to cooperate and work, but we're not here to impose anything. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that you have become my role model.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So with those initiatives and then responses and then the thoughtful thoughts that you are now voicing for the country, for the development of this country.
Thank you so much.
So
thank
I
you.
think I would use your inspiration.
Okay.
To work further with girls for their education, for their digital skilling, employability, and etc.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
2 days ago, we hosted at our embassy the young girls from the Tajik Radio and Television Committee. And every year on April 23rd, we are celebrating International Children's Festivity. So we're inviting the children from different countries. And this year, that young girls' assembly of dance performance group, I understand. They were fantastic, lovely girls, and they were so excited. Some of them, of course, many of them, the first time traveling to Turkey. Many of them are first time will be on an airplane. That will be a really good experience for them. So we made a deal. When they come back, they will share with me their experiences. So I'm so happy that such kind of interaction is happening between our two countries.
Yeah, it's really important.
Yeah.
And it's opening doors and windows for girls.
Yeah.
It's fantastic thing that can come up. Especially through the exchange programs when the two countries' population are getting more closer, and the friendship is built based on these small steps and the contributions that are done from both sides.
Absolutely.
Ambassador Acar, so we've been talking about the digital education and technology. I would like to tell that these priority areas, digital education and skilling, are very important. Tajikistan's ambitious to the skills building, 21st century skills building, which are leading to the e-commerce and e-governance and e-government, which is the strategy, new strategy for Tajikistan. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, of course, that's very important. I should praise and applaud the efforts by Tajikistan when it comes to digital transformation, AI technologies, innovation. Tajikistan is a small country, but when it comes to certain initiatives like this one, like climate change, like water issues, it is leading the world. I'm saying this because just recently I saw that the Tajikistan is sponsoring the UN resolution about the AI technology. This is very important. I mean, even I received calls from my country, and they were so surprised. Wow, look what Tajikistan is doing. I said, yes, you should do more. So this is very important, what they are doing. I know that there are some AI companies here receiving funds from the Western companies. The innovation committee was established in this country. So this digital transformation is one of the top priorities of the government, and you also announced a term between 2025 and 2030, a digital development, the year announced by the president. So these are very significant steps for digital transformation, e-governance, the e-management. we practice it in our country, and we benefit the outcomes on a daily basis. On our cell phones, we have applications. So we no longer have to go personally and physically to government institutions to get some paper or to file some the things or to follow some processes. We can all do that on our applications. I think that is the ultimate goal, what Tajikistan is trying to do. You know, internationally, the Baltic countries, the Scandinavian countries established really strong examples, and I can also very proudly say that we also have a very good practice in our country. In the early years of my career, I was working for a consulate, a Turkish consulate, one of the most populated areas where we have a large number of Turkish diaspora. So we used to think about we should do something that will prevent these people coming to our office on a daily basis, because hundreds of people, not sustainable to provide them daily services, signing so many documents. So starting from those days, early 2000s, we always thought about what should we do to provide all these services without making people have to come to our offices. They can use technology, the computers, the websites, and applications. And within the years, starting from that time, over the last 30 years, we in our country made huge progress. Now you can just go to your smartphone and use an application and have an access to all your medical records, all your identity records. Of course, the protection of all these data, also another very important area, and we are investing heavily in these areas. I think Tajikistan is trying to do the same, to have all these services available to their citizens. In doing so, one area is key, and I believe that the Tajik government is working on this, to giving each and every citizen a unique citizenship number or identity number. We have it in our country as an identity number, and I know that the Americans have the social security number. So this is a very key area, and I know that Tajik government is working on this. With that unique number to each citizen, they will be able to bring together all the data under different agencies and establishing a universal and one single data system in the country where different agencies will have an access to. So you don't need to go to a specific agency while you are have already made an application, one agency. So these are the ideas. So that is inevitable. That is the future where the entire world is heading towards. So I believe that the Tajikistan will not lag behind. That is why it's a very timely initiative.
Inshallah.
So I'm hoping that it will just make huge progresses and close the gap. And knowing that it is a priority for the government is really good. And I know that, and personally met with some of the people heading those agencies personally. So I'm aware of their future plans. I met with some of the bright minds in your country. So I believe this area is in good hands. And in a few years' time, we will see much more good news from Tajikistan. Well, and if there is any need, of course, we're always ready to share the best examples.
Yeah, we'll see how good our bright minds will utilize those support that is coming from the donors and partners, external people. And we will be able to utilize those support in the capacity building, especially of girls, and the development of digital education, technology, STEM, that is part of the greening and the green economy, and etc.
Yes. Yeah.
So this is the huge work towards.
Right.
So we've been talking about the girls so much.
Yes.
Would you mind to share some message to those girls who are just starting? They have an idea of moving towards the technology, of doing something, and be involved in the development of the education and the education in technologies and then the STEM and then math and the science and etc. Some messages, some inspiration that you could share with them.
Okay, well, please excuse me if I may not come up with a very powerful message, but my message is the same the message that I'm sharing with my daughter, of course. Study hard on math, because every father, every parent is proud when they see their children,
Absolutely.
coming with the good grades, math education. Well, we're trying to do our best, and we try to do our best to provide the equal rights and equal, a fair playground with all others. So I don't think that there's anything they cannot do if they really work hard, if they really desire. So the family is very important, of course. We need to always have time with our children, with our daughters, sit, talk, and think about their future, and give credit to what they really want to be, nothing imposing on them. So this is always my message to my daughters, and this is my message to all the other girls. So if they can work hard, they will achieve everything they want. And here in Tajikistan, there are the people and institutions to help. We're here to help. We're providing scholarships every year, and majority of them are girls. And I see the number of girls increasing every year, and they are pretty much interested in technology. Not just social sciences, but also want to study technology, computer sciences, IT technology. So this is really good. It means that with that education, they want to come back to their country and to be useful, to be helpful for the progress and development of that country, because nothing is happening without a passion and love to your land, to your country. And I see that when I sit and talk with the students, we're providing scholarships. I see that passion in them, and really proud of that. So these are the basic messages. Of course, when we talk about the young girls and boys, we should also think about that. Those are the years that will never come back. So let's enjoy those years as well, and let's make some very wise investments in our future. And in 21st century, it's not like the early 1990s or the 30, 40 years ago. Now, so many things are available to them, to help them, to educate them. So, because there is no excuse today to remain uneducated, I see that. If you really want, so many skills that you can gain just by watching some the social media channels, so many free available lessons from the best of the best institutions in the world. So if there is a desire, the famous quote, there is a will, there's always a way. But as the families, the parents, as the people with some the positions, we're ready to help. That's what happened in the early years of my country. So I always remember, I know that this is a young republic, I always remember what we've done in the early years of our country. So with government programs, the state programs, the scholarship programs, the free education to all, it's the best way to invest in the future of the country. So if there is anyone who would watch this program, this podcast, the young girls, the young boys also, who are impressed what I'm saying in somehow and who believe that we can help, our doors are always open, 24/7. I'm here to help, and if there's anything we can do, we would love to do. Thank you so much.
We hugely appreciate
Thank you.
your willingness to support and your inspirational messages that you're sending now to the girls and boys here in Tajikistan. And I would like to express the readiness to stand aside of you to help those, to support those boys and girls, for them to reach their full potential in every area and field they choose to go.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
It was
Thank
pleasure
you.
talking to you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
Thank you for having me.